think
I know
he
he
fits. Like I think
belongs
that's
and
part of
he
why it
belongs in.
works.
Big Sean Payton vibes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got such a more punchable face than Sean Payton. Sean Payton's the kind of guy I can just like lift up and be like, "Go away, get out of here. Like, I'm gonna put you in timeout."
NFL teams have kind of done that this offseason.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, it's getting worse.
Yep.
There you go. Eric Thompson, who's the Vikings' next defensive coordinator? Because that just seems like the difference this year. Like, did you know when it was Big Ed who was going to be the DC? We were like, well, this is not going to last. This is going to be a problem. We're like Vikings fans already in the know where it was like he's not going to work. This is a weird bad hire to start things off. Kevin O'Connell. Like, what are we doing? Why do we hire him?
No, we liked it because it was the experience factor, and KOC was new and all that stuff, and we were definitely given the benefit of the doubt. And it was just such a time for a change because that defense the last couple of years under Zimmer, and again, the defenses under Zimmer were traditionally amazing. That was the part that carried the team in the couple playoff runs that they did make. And it had just fallen apart. I mean, their 2-minute, their end of half defense was just getting torn up. They allowed a historic amount. I think in 2021 they allowed the most points in the last 2 minutes of halves, like in the history of the NFL.
You almost got Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley paid.
I mean, I think we did our part for the Daniel Jones. We made Mac Jones look good this year. That was the scary. But yeah, I mean
Matt Patricia looked good.
Yeah. Like the Jets. I mean, we made Mike White some money again. Like it was bad. But again, like going into the season, it's like all right, 3-4. Maybe we don't have the personnel for that. But again, it was basically like they needed something new. And then it was something new, and then it was the exact same thing for the entire season. It was a cover 2 shell. They made 0 adjustments. They did not play to their strengths and weaknesses of their defense. And when you're dropping Danielle Hunter, who was one of the best edge rushers, he had a really good season. He had a lot of pressures. Him and Zadarius Smith. Zadarius Smith kind of fell off at the end of the season after banging up his knee, I think. But they had some pieces, and they basically couldn't do anything on if they had half a defense this year, then they're extremely dangerous. But it just was not going to happen under Ed Donatel. So to answer your original question, who it's going to be, I think we'll have to find out who the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals is before we find out the answer to that. Because I personally think, again, I have no inside information on this, but I think they're going to wait for what Brian Flores is doing. If he gets that job in Arizona, I think he's a really good fit for what the Vikings defense needs. What the Vikings
they interviewed
defense, him? Yes, they have officially interviewed him. And,
who have they interviewed total?
They've interviewed him, and I think they interviewed Mike Petine, the internal candidate who did, if you want anything to do with the current people, I mean, when Packers fans are in your mentions going, yes, please sign Mike Petine, then
is Dom Capers in this group? Like, what are we doing here?
He was already in the building before, so, and then I'm going to screw up his name. Is it Desai out of Seattle?
Oh, yes. He was the associate head coach. He was in Denver the year prior. Or Chicago. Was he the one in Chicago last year as DC? And then when that staff got fired, he moved over?
I believe so. But yeah, and I think at least from what I know about his system, I think it'd be a better fit. Well, just about anything again would be better fit than.
That's a kind of good place to be in, though, right? Where you're like, we can't go down, and our offense is good.
I mean, in most categories, you can only go down one at the most. I think for most of where the Vikings ended up being ranked, and I think that's what. First of all, there's going to have to be a lot of new faces on both sides of the ball, but especially on defense. It didn't matter if you had prime Buddy Ryan coaching that defense. They weren't doing much just because they didn't have a lot of depth. Their linebackers got just absolutely roasted. Hicks was out of position a lot, and Eric Kendricks, as much as I have loved watching his career in the Vikings, he's definitely on the back end of his career. And when Patrick Peterson is your most reliable cornerback in his 11th year, that's saying something. Harrison Smith isn't what he used to be. He's still good, and they didn't use Harrison Smith the way that he excels the most and the whole Mike Zimmer defense a lot of it was predicated on being unpredictable before the snap. Harrison Smith would be sprinting up to the line of scrimmage and then sprinting back. I think I saw that maybe like 4 or 5 times this entire season. And so it was a combination of personnel really struggling and just the fact that they were completely predictable and you could tear them apart. So basically, out of the three, I think my personal preference is Flores. But again, it could be. I think they're going to have to wait for a couple other places to land before we find out exactly who it's going to be. I would hope to know in the next week or two, but we'll see.
Yeah, Falcons just made a DC hire, and most Falcons fans are not into it. Like, Fontenot is building basically the Sean Payton Saints all over again. That's what the goal is. So they hired the defensive line coach who's never called defensive plays to replace Dean Pease. So I'm not feeling great, right, Eric, about where things are headed in that front, but I don't know. We'll see. Because like you said, it's just, I don't know if it can be worse. I don't know if the pass rush could be worse than it was this past year. Really just all of my adult life in Atlanta. I just wonder too, like Justin Jefferson having an MVP worthy season, like these are the kind of things, and this kind of ties into Evan and his team with the Niners, where like CMC was healthy this whole run. Debo was healthy this whole run. You had so many dudes who were healthy outside of the quarterback spot, which is obviously the most important part. But like Trent Williams was healthy, Eric Armstead, Bosa, you go up and down the list, so many of the important guys, Fred Warner, were all healthy. Kirk was healthy for you. Dalvin Cook was healthy. Justin Jefferson, you're like, wow, we really burned a year where all of our important playmakers were healthy because this part of the team was such a weakness that I hope we didn't miss our moment because we didn't have the right DC in place. And like you said, it was a depth thing, so who knows if any DC would have been good enough.
Let me know when you're ready to talk about Tom Brady.
Do you want Tom Brady, Evan?
No, you want Kirk because that's. I mean, we've had a local radio station making it the A block content. Should they trade for got the local kid?
Okay, so
bring Trey Lance back to Minnesota. That's where he's from.
I would love to trade Trey Lance.
I like this. I love this. Trey Lance for Kirk Cousins. Let's
who never gets hurt? Kirk Cousins. You never have to worry about quarterback.
Oh my
or
God.
Tom Brady.
Let's do
Here's
this.
the thing. So I would love to trade Trey Lance, and hear me out. I love Trey Lance.
Yeah.
I want him to be a 49er, but for his own personal health and career, we have to trade him.